nice and hot today, but there's a gentle, cool wind blowing, and it smells. How many of you have ever smelt a cow? You know what a cow smells like? Because this is exactly what this currently smells like. We're going to go forward a little bit, and we're going to just see if we can get you a better view, and you can see some of the baby buffalo. Even though they look like cows, they are not cows at all. While I go forward a little bit, Sam has found another really large animal, and he'd also like to say hello, so let's jump on the back of his vehicle.
Welcome to White Oaks Elementary. I hope that all you kids have a fantastic afternoon. We really want... we've just had... Not only is this a hippopotamus that is in the watering hole, as you can see the hippo has now put its head underneath the water there. That was very special. Hippos love water. That is their favorite place to be, is in the watering areas. And we've just had 2 elephants that came down to the watering hole. So this is really exciting. And you've just come for the most exciting part of it, as these 2 elephants here have been fighting for quite some time. It's been a fascinating afternoon. So we are sitting with 2 of the largest animals in Africa. These are the elephants, the 2 elephants, and the hippopotamus. And these 2 elephants, as I said, have been boxing, or just having a little bit of a fight. So just as we've started with those animals, we should actually have a look and see who's talking to you. It's me, Samuel Chevalier from WildEarthTV and Safari Live, and working out here with Jean-Andre, the cameraman. We've had a fantastic afternoon, and we're so happy to have you kids out with us this afternoon, because we've been experiencing so many different elephants. We've been watching elephants fight, and there are still 2 elephants that are fighting here. There the 2 elephants are. So these 2 elephants have been playing or fighting against each other, making quite a noise. And the hippo that we've just been looking at has just been sitting in this watering hole, not really paying attention to any of the fighting. Asia Lee would like to know, how many teeth does a hippo have? It's got quite a number of little teeth, but it's got 2 major teeth in the middle there. So if we are very lucky, we'll see the hippo open its mouth, and you'll see that there's 2 at the bottom, 2 at the top, that are very big. Very scary when you see the size of hippo teeth. But we can hear the sound of elephants running. There we go. Listen to them, they are making quite a noise. They've been playing with each other for about half an hour now. Can you hear the sound? Kids, can you hear the sound?
Well, still with our buffalo, standing on a termite mound. Aren't they incredible animals? Absolutely enormous. So one of these boys, how many of you are there in the classroom? Let me see. Are there 20 of you? Are there more than that? We can find out how many there are of you. Even if there were 50 of you, this buffalo would probably weigh more than all of you put together. So he's close to 2,000 pounds in weight, just under 2,000 pounds. And he's absolutely enormous. And this is just a young male. Now, I said that they kind of look like cows, but they're definitely not. They're totally wild animals. And they can be very dangerous, but not to us and not here in the car. See those big, heavy horns? Those are made of solid bone. Just above his eye there, that's all bone, and that's for the males. That's so that they can fight each other. They often headbutt each other to fight over access to the ladies. There you go. Apparently there's 15 of you in the class at the moment. So even if you all stood all together and stood on a scale, you would still weigh much, much less than this buffalo. He weighs close to, not quite, but close to what our car weighs with myself and Dave on the back. There's an even bigger animal out here, and back across to Sam and his elephants.
Welcome back, kids. So these elephants are still fighting. You can see them. There's branches coming out of the bushes there. He's trumpeting quite loudly. This is possibly one of the bigger elephant fights I've seen in some time. Here comes, he's making quite a bit of noise. It's really, really interesting to see these really big animals making such a lot of noise and crashing over bushes. So you could have seen some of those branches that were coming off the tree there. That just shows you the strength of an elephant. Rihanna would like to know, how much does an elephant weigh? Well, you can get different sizes of elephants, of course, and they can get up to 4 to 5 tons. That is a really, really heavy elephant. But these elephants that we're looking at now is probably about 1 to 2 tons. They're young males that are having a little bit of, looks like they're having a little fight. But they've been fighting for quite some time now, which is quite interesting. But here we are with a hippo that's just in front of us. Did you see that water that just spurted out of that hippo over there? Isn't that cool? Jordan would like to know, how does a hippo protect itself from predators? Jordan, if you can see this elephant, wow, look at that! Wow, that is amazing, great filming by Genre. Quickly go back to those elephants. So as I said, that hippo will come out at night time to feed, so it doesn't feed inside the water itself, whereas these elephants that we are looking at now will be feeding both day and night on this foliage. But look, wow, is making a big noise. It's not happy, as you can hear. That was very, very cool. There's so much going down by the watering hole. We were so lucky to see that hippo open its mouth. It's actually the first time I've seen a hippo opening its mouth here on Djuma. I've seen it before a couple times, but to see it here was a very, very big privilege. Hope some people managed to get you guys managed to get a picture of that or a screenshot on your computers. The kids, here comes another big elephant to the left of us. Here's a much larger elephant. As you can see, it's in the background. This elephant must be around 3 tons. But you can't see him right now. There's another elephant crashing through there. Marley would like to know how much a hippo weighs. Marley, also a couple tons. Well, this hippo that's in the watering hole here must be around 2 to 3 tons. A very, very heavy male, and the males will occupy this watering hole. So we're looking at 2 of the heaviest animals, both the elephant and the hippo, which is very cool. Also the buffalo that you've probably just seen with Jamie is with a buffalo. So 3 of the big 5 of Africa. We are so lucky to be seeing all of this. And this one elephant that we're about to see now must be one of the bigger ones that we've seen all afternoon. It's a big male elephant. It's got big tusks. Have a look at those tusks. The tusks are those 2 things coming out by its long trunk there. The whole class is asking, what do elephants eat? Well, they eat all sorts of plant matter. So they'll eat grass and they'll also eat leaves of trees. But not only the leaf of a tree they'll eat, they'll also eat some of the branches and eat the cambium layer, which is a part of the, ooh, just listen to that. So they'll also eat the bark from a tree. So that's what they eat, guys. So there's a lot happening down by the watering hole. The hippo has now submerged its head underneath the water there. It's blowing some bubbles there. The This elephant's now coming down towards the watering hole. It's going to get something to drink. Joseph would like to know, how long will hippo live in the wild for? Joseph, hippos will live for quite some time. Over 20 years hippos can live up to. You can see them as they get a little bit older. You can notice the difference between an old hippo and a young hippo. But they're not very easy to see because you can only really see their whole body during the daytime. You can't really see them, you can't really see them. You can't see them during the day because they're in the water during the day. At night time, that's when they come out of the watering holes. That's when you can get a good view of them. As you can see, you can just see the top of that hippo over there. So Jaden would like to know, how do elephants make noise? That's a good question, Jaden. Well, let's have a look at this elephant over here. We can't quite see the trunk at the moment, but the trunk is just in front. So let me just show you with Elvis the Ellie, which is my favorite little Ellie that I like to show. This is Elvis. That's the trunk over there of the elephant in the distance, and they make a noise through that trunk. So they blow air through that trunk and it makes a very, very strong noise. So that is how they make the noise. Here we've got some elephants that are now rubbing against a tree or hitting. I think it could still be those two young males that are having a little bit of a fight. You can see some dust billowing over there. If we're lucky, what are they going to do? They're going to come out into the open areas. Interact with this big elephant that's here. So there's that elephant. Under the water there. Xavier is asking, what does an elephant smell like? Xavier, they've got quite an interesting smell, especially because they have about two to three boluses of dung, which is poo, about every 1.5 hours. And it's quite a stinky smell. It's not stinky as in, it smells very, very different. And often that smell lingers with the elephant. So that's that smell. So what does it smell like? It smells like really wet grass, really wet bark grass put together. And you get different types of smells with elephants, from a big old male that's in its must, which means it's in its social behavior trying to attract the females. They exert a very, very interesting smell when they're trying to find those females. But I can't really explain that smell. I almost feel like you guys need to come to this African bush one day and to smell it for yourself. It's a unique smell. It's incredible. So there's something here. Ooh, that's a hornbill. That's a red-billed hornbill. So we can still hear those elephants in the distance, but this is a hornbill that's just eating something off the ground here. This is the second time that I've seen this. Today we saw hornbills eating, and now we can see them on the ground eating. It looks like a juvenile, which means a young hornbill. So if you've ever seen The Lion King, this is otherwise known as Zazu, the hornbill. It's a very, very beautiful bird that has quite a red beak. You can see it. It's going to probably pick on something. It often eats part of dung. You'll often see them eat elephant dung. Jackson would like to know, do elephant tusks grow? Yes, Jackson, elephant tusks do grow. They can grow very, very large indeed. They can grow up to 2 meters long. So if you're standing in your class, try and line out in your classroom somewhere there, 2 meters, and imagine those tusks. How big is that? It's incredible how big those tusks can get. Sometimes these elephants which are still making a very big noise in the distance there, they can come really close to our vehicles, and you have these tusks walking around. It's incredible. Really, Jackson, awesome to see that. So that hippo is still right here.
A special African animal and one of my favorites, looking at a warthog and a family or a sounder of warthog. Now, how many of you have ever watched The Lion King? If you remember Pumbaa, Pumbaa was a warthog, just like these guys. But having been up close with a warthog before, they don't smell nearly as bad as the Lion King pretends that they do. And I'll tell you a little secret, an amazing secret. If you watch The Lion King and you have a look at the warts on Pumbaa's face, the lumps on his face, Pumbaa only has 2. And what that means is that Pumbaa is actually a girl warthog and not a boy, because boy warthogs have 4 warts, 2 here on either side close to their eyes and 2 down here by their mouths. Another thing about it is that those are not actually warts. They are lumps of almost like extra bone, kind of like cartilage, like your ears. You know how you can kind of move your ears a little bit if you bend them forward? That's what those warts are made of in a warthog, and they're there to protect them. I'm going to try and see. Unfortunately, these warthogs are playing a little bit shy. I don't think they want to be on camera this afternoon, so we'll have to creep up nice and quiet and slowly and see if we can't get you a better view. It's also their bedtime. It's almost their bedtime. They want to be hiding away now as it gets dark. They're going to go back to their homes underneath the ground. Where did they go? I don't see any warthogs there. Do you see any warthogs, Dave?
Nope.
You guys spot any warthogs? I can't see any. Gotta look carefully behind all the trees and the leaves. Some of the other guys that are hide very, very well, so it camouflages them in amongst the leaves of the trees. So if we're going to spot a leopard, we're going to have to be nice and quiet, and we're also going to have to look really, really carefully as it starts to get dark. But the fact that it is getting dark is perfect for us. As we go through here and we look for leopards, you've been watching elephants with Sam. Now, elephants are probably one of my favorite animals, if not my favorite animal. And you want to know, when are elephant babies born? So what season is an elephant calf born? And the answer is they don't actually have a strict breeding time. So a mommy elephant can have a baby elephant at any time of the year, but there's usually more elephants born in our summer because there's more rain. And more rain means there's more food for the mommy to eat, and therefore the better she can feed her little baby. I'll tell you another amazing thing. You know how if a human being has a baby, they're pregnant for 9 months. That's a whole 9 months that it takes to create a human baby. Or elephants, it's more than twice that. An elephant is pregnant for nearly 2 years. It takes an elephant 2 years to make a baby. Isn't that incredible? Doesn't that seem like a really long time? It's 22 months of a mom's life. During that time, she's got to feed both herself and her baby. Our warthogs, unfortunately, I was hoping maybe they'd come out on this road, but unfortunately it seems as though it's bedtime for little warthogs. But you will want to know, how much does an adult warthog weigh? And a big adult warthog, a really big adult warthog, can be up to 80 kilograms, which is huge. They don't look that big. They're quite short animals. I mean, they only would maybe come up to about my knees. And I'm not a very tall person, maybe about that tall. If you all stretch out your arms one to the other, that's about as tall as a warthog is. Sorry, Dave, I know that's not very convenient. A bit bigger than, a bit taller just a little bit taller than maybe a bull terrier might be, but they weigh much, much more. So an adult male warthog could weigh up to 80 kilograms. In pounds, for you guys, that is close to 200 pounds. Much heavier than all of you. Really, really big warthog. And they can also be quite strong, very, very strong. You know those tusks that they have that curve out of their face? Well, they've also got tusks on the bottom. And those tusks on the bottom are the ones that you need to watch out for because they're really, really sharp. Okay, we're coming around the corner to where these leopard tracks were. Keep your eyes peeled. This is the perfect spot for a leopard to hide. They really like these deep ditches where they can hide and be stealthy, because a leopard likes to be secretive. So while we search for our leopard and the sun starts to set, let's go back across to Sam so he can show you the beautiful view that he has.
So kids, we've just had the most incredible time down by the watering hole with all those elephants as well as that hippo that yawned, and now we've got an amazing shot of birds flying in between these trees as well as the magnificent African sun that is setting on another day in Africa. So it's been a truly remarkable day, and our cameraman Jean-Ray has managed to find the most beautiful shot of this sun going down over the savannah. Wow, have a look at the different birds as they jump on those trees. That is awesome. There goes some birds off into the distance there. So as much as there's lots of action with animals out here, the sun always brings a very, very peaceful ambience. So it's very, very calming to watch the sun go down, especially behind these beautiful African trees. So that's an incredible to go and see if we can find some lions that we saw earlier. So hopefully myself and Jean-Ray will drive down and locate and find you some lions. But in the meantime, let's head off to Jamie and see how Jamie is doing while the sun sets.
So while Sam goes off looking for lions, I've found a really incredible tree. And I'm going to jump out so that I can show you it properly. Just unplug myself from all the cables. So this type of tree is called a tambuti tree. Oh, better check that there's nothing hiding behind it before I go wandering off. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you something really interesting. Now, I'm being very careful not to touch this stuff. Okay, we're going to have a close look. Can you see the white stuff on the end there, Dave?
Almost. Yeah, there we go.
There we go. You see this? This white liquid, it's called latex. And for people, it's really, really poisonous. So we cannot, I don't even want to touch it and touch my eyes. So it's important to remember that whilst some plants are really friendly out here, some are really not. And this particular type is absolutely not. It'll make you feel really very sick. But what's amazing is that some animals can actually just eat this plant. It's only people and certain monkeys that it's poisonous to. So I'm being very careful, and I will wash my hands after I've touched this. But I'm going to put this back. It's so poisonous that you can't even make a fire using a tambuti's firewood. People have made fire before and picked up sticks by mistake, and those sticks have turned out to have come from a tambuti, and it makes them feel incredibly ill. Oops, I forgot that I can't do that, sorry. There's a special order. I can't plug myself in without opening the door first. Important to remember that out here, some trees can be very poisonous. Elephants, on the other hand, absolutely love to eat these trees. and they're really important to the ecosystem. So what they do is they serve a very important purpose in holding soil in place so that the soil doesn't wash away when it rains. And then, if I look carefully somewhere here, I think we're almost at the end of their fruiting season. We've got other trees that you can actually eat the fruit of if you get hungry. Just like this one, it doesn't have fruit at the moment, but this is a guarri bush. And a guarri bush is the perfect snack food. I'm going to send you back over to Sam. He's got something interesting.
We have just found some honey badgers on the show this evening. There it is. Awesome, there's two there. There's two honey badgers. I'm going to stop there. Awesome, this is the first time I'm seeing one.
Go back.
Let's go back a bit. This is so exciting.
Stop.
There they are. I'm just going to reverse a little bit more. You can see the one in the background walking there. It's one honey badger. It's another there. Looks like it's just run around that termite mound there.
Let's go on the 5 ring.
Let's try to go forward. I'll see if I can see it. Wasn't that? That was amazing. That is one of the rarest things you'll ever see in the bush. Let's just go in here quickly. I think they've moved around that termite mound. That was, let me just switch off here and wait a few seconds to see if they come back. That was amazing. 2 honey badgers. We saw 2 honey badgers. Now they are very, very strong animals. A lot of animals they wouldn't come across a honey badger because they are quite scary. Guys, honey badgers love honey, as their name suggests, the honey badger. So there's actually a bird that's called a honey guide that sometimes shows those honey badgers where to go and find honey. I can't stop smiling because I'm so excited to have seen a honey badger. They also eat all sorts of things like snakes. They'll eat a snake. Sometimes a honey badger will even get bitten by a snake and it'll go down, and even a venomous snake, and then still get up and be able to survive. They are one of the, if not the toughest animal out in the African bush. They've got really strong claws that they're able to dig out. But their forearms, their forefingers are much stronger than their back two legs. So they are very, very strong, powerful animals. And they will eat snakes. They will eat all sorts of things. Scorpions, which are the ones that have that sting at the back, they'll eat those. So that was just magnificent. We're going to go and see if we can find those honey badgers again. It'll be so worthwhile having another look. Asia Lee would like to know, how does the honey badger get its name? Well, the honey badger, as I just earlier suggested, it comes from that name. So I'm not sure if you get badgers in America. I know you get badgers in England, but the honey badger gets its name purely for being able to collect honey. So they often go off into the hives, the beehives, where all that honey is, to go and collect honey. So that's where they get their name from. So I'm just looking around here. Sometimes birds will give away where an animal is. So we're just looking also at where the birds are, because they might just give away where those honey badgers have gone to. Kids, this is one of the most exciting days of my life. I've only ever seen a honey badger once, and now we saw 2. We saw 2 honey badgers. And we saw it live. That was so cool. So let's reverse a little bit more and see if we can see them. It looks like they've just run into the thicket there. And that's sometimes what it's like when you see animals. It's just so quick. Especially the rare ones like the honey badger. So it doesn't look like they've come down this far. let's drive back slowly up the road, and maybe, just maybe, it'll link back this way. Let's go back to Jamie and see what she's doing. We're going to drive really slowly and see if we can spot them again. But thanks so much for being part of this experience. It was awesome. We'll see you just now.
That is absolutely amazing. I hope you're all really, really excited about the fact that you got to see a honey badger. You hardly ever get to see them, so that is just one of the best things that could have happened on this sunset safari. Yay, I love honey badgers. They are definitely one of the coolest animals out here. So full of attitude. You can't bully a honey badger. Honey badgers have been known to scare away lions sometimes, even though lions are much, much bigger than them. One of the fiercest creatures in the African bush. I'm very, very glad that Sam got to show them to you. And this is the perfect place and time to be out and about. And yes, you are all absolutely right. Morning and afternoon, dawn and dusk, are the right time to come looking for animals, because that's when most animals are moving about. So your daytime animals, they're moving around because it's nice and cool. It's not too hot anymore, and so they can move about happily, but they're also starting to head to bed, and the nocturnal animals are starting to come out to move about in the darkness, whether it's a honey badger or a porcupine or even this leopard that we're currently looking for. I was hoping that I might say that and the leopard would just appear, but I think that was a little bit wishful thinking. So yes, dawn and dusk is the best time, and I have these really great childhood memories when I was little. When my granddad used to wake me up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and we'd drive all the way to the Kruger National Park when we were staying close by. We'd go off and we'd go looking for animals first, and he always used to tell me that first thing in the morning is the best time to be animal spotting. Now let's see if we can't find you something else really interesting and unusual before you have to go about the rest of your school day. Before Sam spotted the honey badger, I was telling you all about a leopard's favorite habitat. And we're driving in one of a leopard's favorite habitats. Lots of very, very thick vegetation areas where a leopard can creep about and hide away. And I think that the male leopard that we're looking for is a leopard called Tingana. And Tingana is one of the biggest leopards I have ever seen. He's absolutely enormous. He's got a huge head, and his neck is so thick that it looks like he doesn't have a neck at all. It just kind of looks like his head sits on his shoulders. Beautiful big male, and he defends this whole area. He keeps other males away, other big males, and he keeps the females within his territory, and he can have lots of different females. He keeps them and their babies nice and safe. That's the way that a leopard works, all on their own and keeping territories to themselves. Quite a lonely life as a leopard, but they like to be alone. That's their favorite thing. What I need to do is I just need to use the Game Drive channel to get hold of one of my colleagues. Oh, wait, no, I can't do that because otherwise I'll interfere with your broadcast. So apparently there are tracks of a cheetah. Oh, there you go, we can
go ahead, Sam.
Can contact him. Oh, hold on, Sam's having a conversation now. So basically what this is... Brent, apparently you've got Nkonzo there. Sorry, guys. Just talking to...
I said, there's Nkonzo heading towards Triple M, and if so, where would you like me to check?
Okay, copy. No, heading towards Burbine Open. I haven't picked up on any of them since then. I think he's in the drainage line.
Copy, I'll check Triple M around signboard.
Copy that, thank you. Okay, so what I was doing there was just making plans with somebody else who works here, whose name is Brent, and he's helping us follow up on the tracks of the leopard. And what we're trying to plan is that I drive along where the tracks were seen and search, and he's going to go ahead to where we think the leopard might go and figure out if maybe he's on the move there and if he's going to pop out somewhere there. So that's what I was doing there. It's a great way of planning a safari and making sure that you see as many animals as possible. Unfortunately, no sign of this leopard. And it's getting a little bit cold, even here in Africa. It does get a bit chilly at night time in midwinter. Hold on, sorry, I've got to check the ground for footprints. But nope, no sign of him coming through here. Just lots and lots of elephant tracks, like the ones that you were watching with Sam. Now, here's an interesting story. Hold on a second, I'm going to just change the position of the car ever so slightly. And where he has deposited his dung, so where he's pooped, that's actually his bedroom, and that's where he spends a lot of time sleeping, either during the day or at night. This, I know, would belong to a male wildebeest. And the wildebeest looks sort of like a type of cow, but isn't quite. It's actually a type of antelope, an antelope is an African type of deer. Now I'm going to hop out for a second and I'm going to do something kind of gross, but I want to show you the type of poo that a wildebeest leaves behind. I'm going to bring it to you. It's very dry. It's actually quite old. Now, it's really important to remember that you mustn't touch... Oh, I think there's buffalo hiding somewhere there. There's all kinds of birds flying off them. So you mustn't touch poo unless an adult says that it's okay. But I want to show you the inside of this wildebeest's poo. And you can see what type of stuff it eats. That's kind of gross, but it's also kind of interesting. And that is just grass. But unlike the elephants that you saw with Sam, the wildebeest has 4 different stomachs. So this grass has passed through 4 different stomachs before it came out the other end. And that's why it's really nice and well digested and actually quite smooth. That's a bit gross. I know it's a bit gross, but it's a good way of experiencing the African bush. Well, I'm going to say goodbye to the wonderful class from White Oaks. I hope you had a wonderful time and that you enjoy the rest of your school day. And hopefully we'll catch you again on one of our safaris. Bye-bye, everyone. All right, let us go and possibly look for Tingana. I don't know exactly where those tracks were. It was a message that I was called in, or exactly how fresh they were. So far, no sign of them. Ooh. It's been a while since we've sawn. Sawn is definitely not a word. Sawn is so not a word.
Yeah, where did you get that English?
It's been a while since we have seen. Sorry. Another Game Drive channel update.
Yeah, it's right near the front house.
Oh. Nope, not for us. Outside of our Traverse area. I'm not sure which leopard sighting they've just called in. And of course, while we're here, it's entirely possible that we could encounter Shadow. Now, it's been a long time since I've seen her, so I'm really, really keen on it. This is part of her core territory. Now, Lauren, you were wondering, would Tingana be the father of all of the cubs, or the likely father of all of the cubs in this area? In other words, Shadow, Karula, and Nkanyeni. And the answer is, there is a good chance that he is of Shadow and Karula. Nkanyeni falls slightly outside of his territory, but again, it's not unheard of for a female leopard to leave her territory, as we've seen with Tundi mating with Tingana, when she decides that there is a better mating prospect for her. So there's a lot of research being conducted into the fact that female leopards are very clever things. About 70%, close between 50 and 70% of the leopard cub deaths that we know about are caused by male leopards. And a leopardess acts to counteract that by mating with as many males as she physically, she can within the area. So we'll never know, without doing paternity tests, we will never ever know exactly who the father of a leopard cub will be. We can compare genetic likenesses, and we can sort of maybe guess at who it might be, and there is a good chance that he is the father of Shadow and Karula's cubs. We've seen him mating with both of them on a couple of different occasions. But one thing that we've been participating in recently is every time we see a leopard defecate, so when we know which leopard that is, or if it's an unknown leopard, but particularly when we know which leopard that is, then we go and we collect the scat sample. So we go and collect the scat, the poo, and we put it in a vial and we send that off as part of a huge study to Panthera. And Panthera is currently conducting enormous studies into the paternity of different leopard cubs, and it'll be amazing when we do get access and we do get to read those results, and we'll be able to tell exactly who the fathers are of each cubs. I know that many viewers have suggested that Shambambalana is the father of Nkanyeni's cubs, which is entirely possible. We just don't know, and it'll be wonderful to when we do have access to the scientific evidence. I'm going to head back towards quarantine in the last-ditched hope that maybe that cheetah has popped out there. While I do, let's find out how Sam's amazing day is going.
So an interesting conversation with Jamie, and now you're back on vehicle with Sam and Genre, we've just been having the most incredible drive with all of you this afternoon. It's been so fascinating. We've been so lucky and just so privileged to be watching not only hippos opening their mouths super wide, to elephants fighting, big breeding herds of elephants drinking, to honey badgers running across the road. I will smile for quite some time. What else could possibly happen? I don't know. We went to go see if those lions were there. We saw lions earlier. Chris would like to know, this might be silly, but are honey badgers skunks? No, they're not skunks. We actually don't have any skunks in Africa. They're more in, I think it's around Europe, or it's Asia and Europe, but we don't have skunks here. We've just got honey badgers and some of the other species of polecats and striped weasels, so no skunks. But that sighting that we had with those honey badgers is very rare. And what was interesting, I mean, what I'll do is I actually drew a picture of a honey badger the other day. Let's just see if I can find it quickly. If I can't, then don't worry. But as I like to do my pictures, I drew one of a honey badger. Just give me a minute to see if I can find it, because it's worth having a look. Potentially have a look at that moon that's in the thicket there. So there is that beautiful moon. Right. So I do have one picture here. We'll come to it now. Look how incredible this camera is and how good at filming Genre is. You can really pick up all the different things. Look at that. You can see the craters in the moon. And the moon is starting to get fuller and fuller. You can just see that there's one last edge left of it over there. Ooh. I shouldn't be moving when John Ray's in shot like that. It's naughty Sam. Naughty Sam. But I was trying to get that picture of a honey badger. So this is a terrible one of the honey badger that I did. Actually, I don't want to even show you that one. It looks like it was done by a little no genre. Oh no, okay, that was a very quick one that I made. But please excuse it there. That was
very good. Very good.
So anyway, I mean, this was one that I drew very, very quickly, and the scientific name of a honey badger is Mellivora capensis, and they've got that significant like white back over here. So over here you'll find a white back over here, and you're gonna have to excuse the face. I mean, that is not what. That's very embarrassing, actually. Can I take that away, please, John?
Hold this off.
Okay.
Screen grabs, everyone.
Okay. Thanks very much, John, for embarrassing me in front of everyone there. I have actually drawn another picture of a honey badger, but you know what's incredible about a honey badger is those front legs, because they're able to dig and get into holes and also get into the hives. And with the other picture that I drew, which I'll try and find a bit later, I actually learned that there's when they go up to go and find these honeybees, they emit a secretion out of their anal gland that then stops the bees from biting them and stinging them rather. So how interesting is that? That when those bees are in those big beehives collecting the honey, they release a pheromone, or they release a secretion out of that gland, the anal gland, that stops all those bees from giving them that sting. So that's really, really fascinating. But I've got that in my notes, and because we've seen a honey badger this evening, I'll find the one that I enjoyed drawing the other day, not the one that you just saw, and I'll share that with everyone to learn and something new about a honey badger. So what an experience we just had with that honey badger. And we're going to try and get into a position this evening, because we've got the camera that really gets good pictures of the moon and the stars and everything like that. So I'm fascinated by stars. Stars is probably the one part of being out in the bush that I love the most, to be wrapped in awe because of all the different stars and constellations and all that this evening. So I'm hoping to show you the closest of our stars to this planet, which is Alpha Centauri. Cindy from Tennessee is asking, I wonder how common it is to see honey badgers in pairs. Well, interestingly, you actually see them, like they are solitary most of the time, from what I read, but they're also collecting groups sometimes, of males that sometimes go together. But it's a good question of how they move together. Of course, when they are mating, the female and the male will be together. So that could very well have been a female and a male that were mating, that were together, that we saw, because both of them were quite large. So genre, they were quite large. I'm sure you guys will agree with me. So that would very well have been a male and female honey badger. But I've got so much to learn about them. I've only ever seen them once before. So I'm excited to do a little bit more research and study more about the honey badger and its way of life, really. And it's the scientific name, as I said, is Mellivora capensis. Mellivora capensis. Aaron from New Zealand. Yes, we have had some incredible luck today. Well, it's been really fascinating because both, John Ray is a very experienced filmer and photographer out here, and it also knows how to get the right shots. And together with just going out into the bush and finding things, it makes for a good experience. So I'm very, very grateful to have Jean Ray on the back, who's also been helpful with these experiences that we've had this afternoon. But yes, I would love to find something beautiful out there this evening. Hopefully an owl. I would really like to see an owl. So we've got our light on. And bush babies start coming out at this time. So if we pay attention, we might just see a bush baby that might be lurking around the bushes somewhere. We could even potentially see some more hyena activity. It has been a very lucky afternoon, so I wouldn't be surprised. And you know, today's actually been incredible because I saw a jackal this morning. We didn't see it live because we were down by Buffels Hook, and next thing I knew, it was gone. So we're going to carry on in this direction and see what we might be able to find. Hopefully we can find something that's incredible that will bring some more luck to our evening. But let's go and find out how Jamie is doing.
Oh, what an absolutely wonderful afternoon Sam has had. I could not be more thrilled for him. It's afternoons like this that really, there's always the wonder, there's always that sense of wonder whenever you drive around in the bush, but to have a day like Sam has had, comes around every now and again, and is just so special and refreshing. And that honey badger sighting just sounded absolutely incredible. But to know that we can look forward to more sightings like that in the next few months as we head into the deepest, darkest, coldest days of our winter season is also an exceptionally exciting prospect. And what I'm doing now, apart from trying to follow up on the tracks of that cheetah and just to see if it hasn't popped out somewhere here. Obviously, because it's a daytime animal, it's a diurnal animal, we won't be spotlighting it, but we could spot its tracks, and it might give us a possibility as to where to start searching for it in the morning. That being said, this is one of the best roads for nocturnal animals. I've seen porcupine tracks, honey badger tracks, civet, aardvark tracks all around here. That's what we are searching for as we go deeper into our evening. A little bit chilly, and of course, any lions following that buffalo herd. There's a point I completely forgot about. I think it was just a daycare. Sorry, we're going back a bit. Let's run away. A really, really fantastic question from Gilly in York. York, by the way, is one of my favorite cities in the UK. I really, really enjoyed York when I paid a visit there. You were wondering why it is that birds will alarm call at a predator like a lion, when a lion clearly isn't really a threat to them, or are they just helping to warn other animals? And that's a really good question, because it's one that I don't know the exact answer to, and it's kind of up to you to make up your mind. And there would have been a time, instinctively, and a leopard, of course, is a threat to a bird, although very, very seldom will a leopard waste its energy chasing one of the smaller passerines like a go-away bird. But it could be that they don't necessarily identify between the shapes. Personally, I don't entirely buy that as an explanation. I don't think that it's just an instinctive response to a prior threat. I think there is a good chance that they are acting to warn other animals. In the same way that monkeys will go right up to the top of the thinnest branches of a tree away from a leopard and then continue to alarm call even when the leopard has gone past. But then, Julie, you've got another situation like the one that we saw with Tingana not terribly long ago, where Tingana was sleeping, completely flat cat. He barely stirred his head. And we had a whole family of guinea fowl walk past. And it was almost like short-term memory loss. They'd kind of go, quack, 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 alarm call a little bit at him, and then forget about it, and continue to peck at the ground for seeds, and then suddenly pick their heads up and start alarm calling again. And it was an interesting interplay. Now, we know why they felt so comfortable around him, because he wasn't exhibiting any predator kind of behavior. And the animals they speak a language that is entirely through body language. So they're very, very good at reading the intentions and the actions of an animal. They will only alarm call when something is showing predatory behavior. Why? Long after that bird of prey this afternoon had killed something, I don't know what it had killed. It was I think it was a francolin, I'm fairly certain. It was something feathered, either way. And it was on the ground feeding. It was obviously, the kill was a little bit too big for it to fly up and to perch itself securely. Why did the go-away birds continue to alarm call for a good 45 minutes after that bird of prey made its kill? What provoked that response? And yes, that's a threat to them still, but it's not exhibiting any signs of predatory behavior. So why did they keep calling? Why did they stay in that area and keep calling if not to warn other animals of its presence? I don't have the answers to those questions. It's kind of up to you to come up with your own reasons as to what you think. Hello. We come now to a standoff. Hello, boy. A buffalo bull has just loomed up out of the darkness. What do we think, boy? How's this going to end? You can imagine sort of Western style music playing now. Oh, I think we won. Here we go. Off he goes. I am, of course, joking. There's no way that he was ever going to be a threat to the car. He has now very kindly... Well, we're going... Which way would we like to go, boy? Let's take our opportunity now while he's off the road. I don't like pushing animals off the road, especially since it's their home. Hello, boy. Excuse me? And while we talk about the incredible different behaviors of our various animals, Darlene, in New Hampshire, you were wondering about, because I mentioned earlier, about the fact that cheetah mums will catch prey and then bring it back still alive to their cubs to help them hone their hunting skills. And you were wondering if lions and leopards will do the same thing. Yes, all three of the big cat species have been recorded doing that. Lions, it's a little bit rarer, just because a lion pride tends to be quite a ravenous thing. So whilst mom, if she's on her own, might have the self-discipline and the self-control to allow the cubs some time spent honing their skills, with the rest of the pride, it's unlikely that she's going to be able to keep them from caving into their appetites almost immediately and start feeding on that particular animal. Leopards definitely do it. I have seen leopards do it in the past. There is that incredible story of Saleheshe's cub, her current female cub, who's now well over, I think, a year old, who apparently, when Saleheshe caught a daker, the cub then proceeded to kill it at the age of 5 months old, which is incredible, because just think about how tiny Karura's cubs are, or just picture Nkanyeni's cubs. Now imagine them at 5 months old managing to kill a full-grown daker. Very, very impressive feat from that little cub, especially since she's a female and therefore smaller than a male leopard cub might be. Leopards and cheetah are the predominant species that will exhibit that behavior. And it's quite difficult. I found it quite difficult to watch in the past because the bumbling attempts of the cubs, is all part of the natural cycle of things, and you know that they have to learn to do that. But at the same time, it's difficult to witness because it automatically prolongs the death of the animal concerned. It is tricky, but then we've also seen Karula do that with a daker without cubs before. She did it before she had her current set of cubs, where she caught a daker and she left it alive for a considerable period of time before she killed it and started feeding on it. But of course, animals not bound by our moral code. Here we go, we've got another standoff, slightly smaller. Nightjar. I don't want to sit with the light on him for too long. I just wanted to show you very quickly. I think it's a fiery-necked nightjar. They are exceptionally tricky to tell the difference between all of them, but this sort of size and this sort of behavior almost inevitably indicates a fiery-necked. They're the most common. Okay, I'm going to take the spotlight off him now. just to allow him to fly away. They love the roads, and they particularly love the roads in winter time. Here he's gone. It's a great place for flying about unimpeded by trees and catching insects, and it's also nice and warm because the roads have been absorbing the heat from the sun all day without shade from trees. Now, Aaron's also asked a really brilliant question about why it is that lions have evolved to have a social structure more like wolves and so unlike any other cat. And it's an interesting one. I mean, it's not quite wolves because you don't have that alpha pack system, but you are absolutely correct in that most cats are solitary hunters. Lions are one of the very few big cat social predators. Now, the best answer and the best theory that I've read about, and it's up to you to decide whether or not you completely buy into this or whether you can think of another explanation, but it's part of their evolutionary history, and lions evolved around the same time as human beings started to develop their skills as one of the most well-developed primates. And that combined with the structure or the social structure of a hyena clan, which is the other dominant nocturnal predator of this area. Now, the three species, humans, lions, and hyenas, have all evolved together. And it seems as though it worked for lions to be in competition, basically in competition with us as a species and with our ancestors as a species. It basically band together and to form groups as social cats. And that's only a partial explanation. It's one of the big reasons, or one of the big explanations behind why it is lions have evolved to be nocturnal hunters as opposed to us. We are diurnal predators, we're daytime predators. And the idea is that it kept us from being too much in competition with each other. Mostly the theory goes that lions have evolved that way because they evolved at the right time in Africa, which is of course the primary spot of evolution, or the initial spot of the evolution of human beings as a species. They've evolved there in competition with us, and thus the social structure allowed them to be more successful. I have read other theories about it, and it's sort of, obviously it's up to each individual person, because we won't ever be able to prove exactly what it is that led to that why any animal has evolved the social structure that it has. You know, why do elephants form the herds that they form, whereas rhino don't? They are social creatures, but not really to the same extent. What is it that gave rise to the success rate of some species being social and others solitary? I'm trying to remember what the other theory that I read about lions as a social cat was. It was to do with prey abundance and prey size, and it just worked out that in terms of a lion's size and the circumstances that we're selecting for the size of a lion versus the size of the prey that they could go after, and how those circumstances all interact. But I'm a little bit fuzzy, to be completely honest, on exactly what the particular evolutionary scientist suggested about the social structure of a lion. I mean, it's interesting where you've also got that what's the word? Help. Convergent evolution, where you've got two completely diverse species in geographically separate areas. And let's take the wolf and now let's compare it to the wild dog. And the wild dog is in essence the African wolf to a degree. Their social structure is very similar. A lot of their hunting style is very similar, despite having evolved separately and having completely separate circumstances. Oh, hello, Nyala. Sorry, boy. One of those awesome things that we've got two separate species being designed in a very similar way. I'm going to leave you to ponder on these great questions. They're questions that vex me every day. Maybe vex is slightly wrong. That I think about on a very regular basis. And I'll leave it to you to draw your own conclusions. In the meantime, let's find out how Sam's evening is going.
So we are back with the moon after a fantastic drive, and we thought that we would just stop and look at that beauty of the moon. It is starting to get fuller and fuller in the sky. You can see some of the dark patches of the moon, as well as some of the craters that are quite significant around it. And you can notice it's quite a yellowish, kind of white yellowish glow, this beautiful moon. And we can only see one side of the moon all the time. So we often talk about the dark side of the moon, and that's on the other side of this moon. So we're just experiencing the one side of the moon all the time. And if you look carefully, you'll be able to see that rabbit in the moon that we often talk about. Sometimes you have it's not as easy to see, but if you look carefully, you can see that rabbit with the two ears over there. And I love just looking up at the moon whenever I have an opportunity to do so. And it just changes the whole dynamic of the bush out here. You can imagine all the animals wake up to the sound, or to the glowing glow of this moon around the bush, and it allows for all the animals to wake up and look around. It's an incredible time. And while we've just sat with the moon, let's go and look at a planet that is out in the solar system. It's one of our closest planets to this Earth. It's red, as you can see over there. If we get nice and close, it's the closest we can get to this planet, and that is Mars. So Mars has quite a red tinge to it, as you can see over there, and that is the red. It's the dust. There's a red dust on Mars that is then being reflected back all the way back to Earth. So the atmosphere around that planet is quite a lot different to the atmosphere that we have here. We have quite a lot of hydrogen and oxygen in this atmosphere. It's an incredible star out there. And finally, we're going to have a quick look at Alpha Centauri, which is our closest star to this planet. And there it is. So you'll see there's Alpha and Beta Centauri. So I think that one over there is Beta Centauri, which is two binary stars. So two stars that are actually going around each other, which is actually the brighter one. And that one's a little bit further away. It just looks brighter because it's two different stars that are orbiting each other. And if you look above it, it is Alpha Centauri, which is part of the pointers of the Southern Cross. So you can't see it as well, but Alpha Centauri, there it is. That's Alpha Centauri, and you can tell it's a star because it's flicking at us. Look at how, do you remember when we were looking at Mars, how it was quite a stable kind of glow? When you're looking at a star, you'll see that it flickers at us, and that's how we tell the difference between a planet and a star. And a planet is a solid mass, whereas a star is a big, great ball of gas that is growing. And we have different ages of stars, and the distance of that star to our planet is 4.3 light years away. So the light that we are getting from Alpha Centauri is taking 4.3 years to finally come here. Isn't that incredible when you think about it? How far and how far these planets are, or these stars are around us. And that is just one star, and that's our closest star. And if we wanted to try, I mean, they've done measurements, but the best way to explain the distance is that if we wanted to get there, it would take us 25,000 years by a rocket to get to our closest star, Alpha Centauri. So isn't that magical to try and understand that a little bit more about our solar system? And that's just one star. And you know, if you go look out in your night sky and you go and have a look at Scorpio in southern Africa is starting to come up across the eastern horizon this evening, whereas Orion is setting on that side, on our western boundaries over there. And in both of those stars are both of those constellations are two red giants. And those are two stars that are getting to the end of its life. So they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And they start emitting almost like a reddish color. And that is towards the end of a star's life. And when that star finally gets bigger and bigger, it will explode. but sometimes that explosion will take millions of years just to get to our eyes. So some of these stars could have already blown up already, we just haven't seen it. And that's so magical when you start thinking about how big the universe is and how big everything else is out there. So it's a special thing when you start listening and looking at all the different planets out there. And when a planet like a red giant does blow up, it turns into so that's a supernova. So that song by Oasis, Champagne Supernova. So that's the only way that I really learn about it. And and that supernova will then eventually turn into a black hole, and then new stars will form, and that's endless learning when you talk about that, the atmospheres, the galaxies, everything that's up there. And I'm fascinated by astronomy, and I can't wait to talk more about it with you. But it's been a great game drive this afternoon. We've seen so much. It's been such a pleasure. Thank you, Jean-Andre, behind the camera. You've been awesome. I've enjoyed it as well, just as much. And we are very thankful for all the viewers to be with us already for so long doing this drive. And we'll see you tomorrow for the sunrise safari. Let's go and see how Jamie's doing.
So we come to the end of another glorious afternoon spent in the African bush with so many magical wonders and mysteries for us. Aaron's question has got me doing some serious thinking at the moment, so that's what I've been doing while you've been looking at the beautiful night sky with Sam, is just thinking of all of the different and amazing ways in which this place continues to astound us. And I think my favorite thing about it is that I will never ever, none of us will ever have all of the answers at our fingertips. It's a journey of almost constant discovery. And even then, it's still going to hold multiple mysteries where different people will have different opinions about what is actually going on and the way in which, and the reasons why things happen. And I think that is probably one of the most exciting things about working in a wilderness area such as this. The mystery of it makes it all the more exciting. I have a mystery for all of you. Why, at the start of Game Drive, where the monkeys shouting furiously around Galagopan, you'll have to stay tuned to the Djuma Dam and see whether or not we missed a leopard wandering about there. That would be something highly entertaining. It's been a while since we've seen Tingana. Mvula was last seen around Cheetah Plains. Actually, we just missed him the other day. But he's been wandering all over the show, so there's always a chance of a surprise appearance from him. And even as we come to the end of the sunset safari, there's the chance of a surprise white-tailed mongoose sighting or something along those lines. I'm looking forward to a full moon over the next few days, and I think with that camera that we're viewing the night sky with, from Sam's perspective, the scenery is going to get more and more incredible. As we wait for the nocturnal mysteries to start unfolding, hopefully some lions decide to pay us a visit tonight. They decide to come walking past Inge's house and calling in the darkness, because there's no better feeling than lying safely tucked up in your bed and hearing lions calling right outside your bedroom window. Looks as though there's some eddies having a drink at the pan. Oh, looks as though there's an elephant in front of me. Looks as though there's a lot of eddies in front of me. What a lovely way to finish off our safari. I can't really spotlight them too much. They don't enjoy it very much, so I'm just going to keep a little low level of light on them. I love a peaceful evening elephant sighting as they make their way across to the Djuma Dam for a quick drink before moving off into the night. sometimes it's just lovely to sit and listen to the sounds of an elephant herd moving all around you. And I've inadvertently bumbled right into the middle of the herd. You can hear them moving off to the right, to the left, just all around us. Cracking of branches. And of course, the gentle release of the digestive gases that always accompanies an elephant herd sighting. Well, it might not be lions outside my bedroom window tonight, but I think that a herd of elephants is probably highly likely. And the guests at the lodge, it's the lights that you can see in the distance, they're also going to be going to bed with the sounds of the elephants feeding and occasionally trumpeting. That's awesome. What a wonderful way to end off our sunset safari. So we come now to the end. Thank you very much, Dave, for all of your fantastic camera work, as well as to Lou and to Jerry in Final Control, and most importantly to all of you across the globe for sending through your questions and your comments and for joining us on the largest safari vehicle on Earth. I'm going to go sidling past this elephant herd on my way home. Hopefully they decide to be kind enough to let me through. And then we'll be ready to join you once again on the Sunrise Safari. Have a wonderful day, and we'll catch you tomorrow. Bye-bye.